need to understand what a privilege it is. We'll look a bit at men and their sexuality. Then you look at man and the relationship in the family, and you also look at the man and the relationship with the wider circle, the siblings, the workmates, and people like that. Our discussion is man and his relationships, which are many. Let's say the word relationship, the better word is friendship. In other words, we are saying man must be friendly. And for you to get friends, you yourself must show yourself to be friendly. That's our discussion today. That man must be involved in relationship. That's God, the way God created us. In fact, as He created man, and the only relationship He had is with God and animals. The first disease ever diagnosed is of lacking a relationship. So God said it is not good because there is no relationship. So He created women so that there would be a relationship. And sure enough, when the man woke up and saw the woman, he said, she shall be called woman because she is from man. So you need to understand relationship is not your creation. It's God's creation. You are created to relate. And when you don't relate, you are actually sick. When you relate badly, you make also other people sick in addition to your being sick. But it's important to understand the way God has created us. If we want to live a fulfilled life, we must have friends. We must have friends. And it's important. However, unfortunately, making friends is a very difficult thing. Let me just give you a few things to understand how difficult about friendship is. Number one, friendship is voluntary, with the power tilted to the target of your friendship. In other words, you want to be friends with your wife, but it's not dependent on you, it's dependent on her, whether she can be your friend. It's voluntary. You know, your wife is not necessarily your friend, though you can prove the marriage. To prove that she's your wife, you can produce a marriage certificate, but she's your friend. That does depend on you. It's a choice to be friends. Many women are not friends with their husband. How do you know that? Whenever she has a real need, she has a prayer partner somewhere. Am I saying things you don't know? And when you hear the prayer partner talk, is that true, my wife? Yeah, we were praying about it. She went to tell the prayer partner before telling you. Because the real friend is the prayer partner. And it's something we need to understand. Friendship is voluntary with the power tilted to the target of your friendship. That makes it very difficult. Some of us here have spent a lot of effort trying to be friends with our wives. And after years, I've been married for 45 years, some of you may have been married longer or less, you realize this is not working. So it's important to understand the subject we are discussing is a difficult subject because it's not automatic. Being friendship is not like porridge you can pour in. No. It is voluntary. And that's something you have to remind yourself. That if you are friends with your wife, do not be proud what a good guy you are. Remember, it's the favor of God. Am I communicating? There are people who have done better things than you. Yet their spouses are still not responding. It's a blessing of God for your effort in friendship to actually work. Number two, friendship is not permanent. So that yesterday's friend could be today's enemy. You know, I wrote a book on this topic many years ago. It's called Friendship by John Nganga. If you get the book, you will see what I'm talking about, friendship. It's not a big book, but I gave a series of talks on VOK. That's more than that years ago, and around that years ago, and finally it became a book. And what the VOK asked me to do, the producer, is to talk about relationships, how to have relationships at work. So that's how I wrote I wrote the book. And in the book, I defined an enemy. Since I'm asked to talk about friends, I defined an enemy. And I told them, I write in the book, an enemy is a former friend. In other words, you are not an enemy unless you used to be. Others are called strangers. Any enemy must have been a friend. And it comes out of the nature of friendship that's not permanent. You married that girl because you are great friends. You enjoyed each other's company. 30 years later, you just tolerate one another. You are no longer friends. So the second problem with relationship is they are not permanent. You know, other things you invest, then you sit back to enjoy the returns. Friendship, you have to keep doing it. Did you buy her madazis? Like I used to buy mine somewhere near the university. I used to buy her something. There was some place I still remember called Snow Cream, where you would buy things we could not find in the village. Now, and a meat pie, those days were very special. If you stop doing it 45 years later, you are in trouble. Because the investment of yesterday does not pay dividends now. Because friendship is not permanent, it means you have to work on it all the days. So, after 45 years, you need to ask me, how am I befriending Rebecca? Because yesterday's friendship is of no consequence, of no help. So you need to understand, in all these relationships, it is not something you achieve and then enjoy. It is something you have to do on a continuous basis because it's not permanent. Number 3 then becomes very clear. It requires a lot of investment in a scarce resource called time. In other words, there's no time. Since this thing is not permanent, it means permanently. And you know, the language of love is time. Not buying her a good dress, not buying her a new car, that's not the language of love. The language of love is called time. Are you available to her? Are you available to him? In fact, you need to understand, whenever you meet somebody and you are not able to meet often, he says, no, I'm so busy, I'm not available. What he's telling you, our friendship has gone down. You always have time for the people you value. Again, I quote a Kikuyu saying in my book, say, Dogonema Kenya, friendship is missing one another. If you are not missing me, there's a problem in our relationship. The way to know we are friends is that you miss me. Dogonema Kenya, friendship is missing one another. So you need to understand what I'm trying to say is that it requires investment in a scarce resource. Because you are busy working. You are busy looking for money. So it's difficult to be available at the same time. But you must find a way, like I said earlier, you must find a way of reducing whatever investment you are putting in work in order to be available to the person you intend to be friends with. Let me say, I'm talking like the relationship is about your wife. What about your children? Your children are your children. You can prove it with DNA. Although I had a comment, a very strange comment with this regrettable incident in Moiga, and people are going to Narumoru for the samples to be taken. And then somebody wrote, surely men, they are wasting their time. They should allow the mother to be the one to go. Of course, you understand that's an immoral statement. Now, because basically, they are implying you might think your son is not there, but it's because he's actually not your son. But so it's better for the mother because the mother is sure. Now, but the point I'm trying to say is, please understand that your son is your son. You can prove DNA, but he's not necessarily a friend. Many sons, and some of you are sons. You normally visit your father, you normally give him presents, but if truth be told, you are not friends. It requires a lot of hard work, investment in time for that friendship. If you don't visit your parents, you will soon see your relationship going down because you are not available. Because the language of love and friendship is time. So that's what makes it. Remember, I'm trying to answer the question, why is it so difficult to have friends? You can see it's quite a tough thing. And number 4, despite all that difficulty, you can't do without friendship because it's a solution for loneliness. And yet, even in a group of people, like a large church like this one, you are full of people, and yet you have no friend. Does that happen? In fact, the larger the church, the more lonely the people. That's why they normally say, as your church grows bigger, it must remain smaller, as a way of emphasizing the place for small Bible study groups. Because a large church is very difficult to have friends. And it's important to accurately deal with it. Let's look at several things that can help us. Having stated how difficult it is to have a relationship, let us spend quite a bit of time just answering the question, what can you do so that you begin and retain the friendships we are talking about? I want us to start by looking at the book of Romans chapter 12. Romans chapter 12, verse 3. For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with a sober judgment in accordance with the measure of faith God has given you. I call Romans chapter 12 the chapter on relationship. It's a chapter on relationship. We will not have enough time to just spend the time on it, but I would like to encourage you to do a Bible study on Romans chapter 12. I'll pick a few items, but the whole chapter is talking about relationship. One of the things Paul wants you to know, you cannot have good relationship and yet be proud, looking down on others. Let me just read what is in red. Do not think of yourself more highly than you thought. If there's one thing that sends away friends, is looking down on them. You can have a good friend, but every time you meet, he is talking about how much better he is than you. You can tolerate him for a few times. After that, every time he calls you, say, I'm busy. Which is true, you are busy, but the real problem is you don't enjoy being with him. Would you agree with me? So if that is true of you and others, then it means you must pray to God that humility is your mark. People like relating with the people who value them. And you cannot value others when you are proud. People who are proud are egocentric. They are centered on themselves. Everything else is compared with themselves. So this subject of relationship, men and their relationship, are based on valuing others, seeing others as important. For example, maybe you are a doctor, a medical doctor, well-deserved professional qualification. Then you see somebody else is a teacher. If you don't start understanding what I said earlier about calling, that God has called you to be a doctor, he has called your friend to be a teacher, but without the teacher, your children will not go to school. You start valuing the teacher because you can see the community still needs a teacher just like they need a doctor. Am I clear? So when you now start with a teacher, you're always talking about how valuable he is, how you value the way he treats your children, how you value Now, once you start valuing, telling people about how valuable they are to you, you are creating a relationship that is likely to last. The same thing with your wife. If you talk like, do you count yourself lucky? Who else but me would have married you? As ugly as you are. Now, you need to understand that's the way to kill your relationship. The girl must feel she may be ugly. Maybe she lost in a beauty pageant. She may be ugly, but you must look. Don't lie to her that her nose is good. But if it's bad, but don't comment on it. Look for something good in her. For example, her hair, named Julia Kemira. You know, when you were growing up, we used to talk about good hair. I don't know why we call it Julia Kemira. You know, hair that looks like, anyway, let me not go to that direction. But the important thing is, look for something good in your wife. And tell her, every time I wake up, I am so happy to imagine you agreed to marry me. I always dreamed my sister never had hair like yours. So when I would see your hair, I would wish my children to have such hair. And I knew it cannot come from my head. Am I not lucky to have married you? Look at our daughter and her hair. The more you show how much you value her, the greater the possibility of friendship with the person. Would you agree with me? And that is true at home, true with your children, true with your workmates. So the children are the same. Your son is regularly number one from the back of the class. There's no competition. Anytime the report comes, you know, my son will be number one from the back. That's not a matter to continually talk about. Find out what else. And you remember your son could ride a bicycle at the age of 4, the one without any support. He is really good with things. Every time you see your son, you say, son. Even when I was 10 years, I couldn't balance myself on a bicycle. But you, even before you knew yourself, you could balance yourself on a bicycle. You are a special boy. You are not talking about the fact that you were number one, because even himself he knows. Number one from the back. What do you think that boy will do? He will want to be the father everywhere. Because he knows my father values me. Other people may laugh at me, but my father values me. Remember, our topic is man and his relationship. The word of God is telling us, if you really want good relationship, then you must not, think of yourself more highly than you ought. And I'm thinking you are thinking of yourself more highly than you ought when you start thinking that you are the only one who matters, the other people don't matter. My prayer is that these are easy things to say. In actual practice, they are not that easy. Let me start by answering the question that I talked about in the introduction. Why are relationships so important? They are difficult. Why are they so important? Genesis 2:18 says that the cure for loneliness, the cure for Adam's sickness was relationship. It's the primary cure for disease caused by stress. A lot of the things you call, when you hear people are suffering from stress, it's not the work, it's the people they work with. It's not the marriage, but relationship in marriage. So you need to understand, good relationship will be important, not just for your friend, but for you. That's why no relationship should go bad because of you. It can go bad without you. That's why the scriptures are very practical. It says, live at peace with all men, as long as it depends on you. Which means there are people you can try and they refuse. But on your side, you are doing your best. Why? The opposite of relationship, having good relationship, is to get sickness of stress. And please understand that lack of good relationship is responsible for most hospital bed occupancy. I talked about that earlier. And then please remember that to need friends, to want friends, is actually natural, biblical, and right. So you need to see it is not a choice you have. You are created to need friends. You are created to have friends. You are created to relate well with others. If you don't, that's why God said it is not good. Look at Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 10. Relationships is what you need during your times of weakness. Once weakness affects the friends, and hence they will come to your aid. When you are sick and somebody is missing you, they'll say, "Oh, I haven't seen you for some time." They will come to look for you. Because when you are sick, you may not even be able to call your friends. But because the friends are missing you, they will come looking for you. So during your time of weakness, your friends will come in handy. You know, I'm not suggesting that you manipulate your friends. You know what I'm calling the Harabee spirit, which I talked about earlier. But real friends do not need to do a fundraising. They automatically come to your help. That's how you know they are real friends. These ones, where you put a WhatsApp group, then force people into it, and then you start putting a list of people who are giving money as a way of embarrassing them if they don't give. And normally the family says 100,000, which they are not giving, but as a way of encouraging also for you to give 100,000. It's not Christian at all. Real friends will give you money because you know you need it. And by the way, that's the way we used to do our weddings. We had no pre-weddings. But I can tell you, as I married in 1979, somebody will come to me and put 500 shillings. By the way, 500 shillings was a huge figure 45 years ago. I checked, what has he put? 500 shillings. And by the way, you could buy a suit with 500 shillings. I did not need call for any harambe, but people still helped. That's what friendship is all about. And I'm hoping we'll go back to those type of friendship. When your friends know your need and come to meet your need without you demanding. Am I communicating? That's what we are getting in Ecclesiastes. 2 are better than 1. Because when one falls, the other one, you don't say, "Oh, come and help me." The other one who is near you will want to help you anyway. That's what friendship is all about. I'm answering the question, why do you need good relationship? They automatically come to your aid. Proverbs 27, verse 17. Here it is suggesting that you need relationships to develop. If you want to, in your personal development plan is to become whatever your life's purpose is, it is friends that will motivate you, that will encourage you to go towards that end. Human development. Enemies are unlikely to develop you. Why? If an enemy tells you, "Hiya, brother, that's good," you think he is joking. When a friend tells you it is good, it encourages you. When a friend tells you that's not good, you realize, I need to change. When an enemy tells you it's not good, you don't take them seriously. Can you see the enemies or people you don't value are unlikely to help you to develop? Would you agree with me? It is your close friends whose word you take seriously that will motivate you to better life, to better relationship in the future. You need those kind of friends who have what I call right of interference. You need a few people, may not too many. They have the right of interference. That means they can tell you off anytime, and your friendship will last. That's why you know you are friends. Some of us are so afraid of telling somebody off because we fear that if they tell us off, that will be the end of the relationship. That means you have no relationship. A true friend enjoys the slap of a friend. He has been given the right of interference. That means, do you have people like that? People who know that it will not break your friendship when you say, "Hey, the way you are dealing with your wife is wrong. Something is very seriously wrong." Now, you don't feel, you go and think about it, you ask him to explain himself, and he knows the relationship will continue. A few men don't have anybody like that. Nobody can tell them off, including their wives. So when you are like that, then you can't develop. Because it is those positive criticism, honest feedback that allows you to operate at a higher level. And if you are lacking those kind of friends, my friend, you will not go very far. Why do you need a relationship? Because you want to grow. Enemies are likely to help you to develop because you do not trust their suggestions. Criticism, you don't trust. Their praise, you don't trust. The main agents to help us develop is our friends. And I think it will be important. Ecclesiastes 4:9 is actually putting it in better words, that relationship increase productivity. In management, we call it synergy. Synergy is a management rule that says that the sum of the individual efforts is less than the product of the team if it works as a team. That means if I can lift 10 pounds, and because Dr. Wangombe is younger and stronger than me, he can lift 20, I can lift 10, he can lift 20. If we work separately, we are going to lift 30. If we work as a team, so synergy says, we will lift 35. The extra 5 is the program synergy. Studies all over. That's why you find that if it's a case as simple, it's given 1 judge. If it becomes more expensive, it's given 3 or 5 judges. It becomes very tough. The Supreme Court has 7 of them. Why? Teamwork is supposed to produce better results. So you need to understand clearly, you need relationships if you are going to produce better. A society of jealousy finishes itself, where you do not work together, each person works separately. They are not relationships. It will finish itself. Lives, you live in scarcity mentality. Scarcity mentality where you feel like, for me to go up, somebody must go down. You don't think there is enough for all of us, and we all can grow bigger. That's scarcity mentality. You will believe that if he has, then somebody else must miss. When you work together, you all believe you will gain, and you are not jealous about others gaining. Friends believe there is plenty for both, so they are willing to share and work together, and then enjoy, all of them start enjoying the higher productivity. Of course, the worst of them is when you are not friends with your wife. So you start operating like 2 economies within the home. I always feel embarrassed when a couple is coming for counseling, and all they are saying is, the wife is saying, I lent my wife 10,000, he has never paid. Now, who was lending who? Are you getting the picture? You are supposed to work together. You know, my first mortgage house, which we got in Saudi B, it happens, it was railway land. A private person was allocated the land to turn it into an estate. It's called Plainsview. That is around 1980, 81. And I was praying that God would give me phase 4, because I was living in phase 3, Buruburu, and we were working on phase 4 and 5, and I thought I would get, but I was not getting. So when I heard they have a house, we went to apply. But we thought they are just like other houses, only to discover that it started becoming like a scandal. The argument of the people said it is being developed for civil servants. That killed the scandal. Then I was following up. My wife and I, since we applied together, we are following. One day, my wife, those days we used to work on Saturday. She came through my office and said, no, let's go and check what happened to the house. So we left after work. The work used to be end at 12. So we went to the place to check for the house. That's when they said there have been these issues that were delaying, but we are locating anybody who is a civil servant. My wife happened to have become a part of TSC. Produced the letter. That's the way you got a house. If I was applying for the house alone, I was working for Shell. They were not giving to the private sector. Am I communicating? We got the house because we are working together. It's exactly the same with the mortgage. If you give your salary, might meet the requirements for the mortgage, but sometimes you might not. If you give your 2 salaries, you qualify. Many people are unable to get houses because they want to get the house without the wife. Am I communicating? Are you seeing what the scriptures are saying is practical? When you work together, there will be a productivity not possible. So any family which has 2 economies, the husband is 1 economy away from the wife, will never realize their full potential because they are not working together. Relationship, it has also got economic benefits when you learn to relate with others. The same thing with having friends. Like, I went to Plainsview. Within no time, a few of my friends, my best man, ended up, oh, you are going there? He also went and looked. So we ended up being neighbors, with my best couple, our best couple. We ended up becoming neighbors. Because once you are friends, you get something good. So you tell your friends, isn't it? But if you are suffering from jealousy and things like that, it's top secret. Nobody else should know. Non-Christians seem to perform in a way because when they are drunk, they talk. So a lot of the ideas they get from bars, isn't it? Because the guy is not being sensible, so he is sharing things that he is supposed to have kept quiet about. But a lot of Christians, we don't share. We have no men friends where you sit and see what we are going through. In the prayer, that sounds like a good idea. Let me go and share with my wife. That's what relationships are about. And here we are learning, if you don't have those relationships, people you trust, people who have the right of interference, people who are interested in your progress, you are not going to go where God wants you to go because you are not investing in those kind of relationships. Proverbs 17:17 is talking about reliability. Where your friends are like an insurer. You therefore can take risks because you know your friend can cover your risk. And in the process, because of taking risks, you are going to end up with a breakthrough performance. What about Hebrews 10:25? It makes relationship a command. You must come together with other Christians. Don't fail to have friends, to relate well with other Christians, like it's the manner of some. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25. So I think it's very important. So what do I recommend? I recommend friendship at 3 levels. Every one of us must have a minimum of 3 friends. Number 1, a person you call a colleague, seen as equally weak just like you, or equally strong just like you. If you're a lawyer, it's a similar lawyer. When you look at their family, they look just like yours. And you are likely to be same age. These are very important people. Even if you have a lot of mentors, that's okay, but that's not the subject. You need people who are not mentors. That's what's called peer mentoring. They are just like you. These are the kind of people where if he is at the door and knocks, and you are just quarreling your wife, you don't stop the sentence. He comes in and the quarrel continues. Do you have someone like that? You need him. Why? He will see you as you are. He is able to help you. If your mentor comes and your son says, hey, Ganga is coming. Everybody, you are smiling. So he will never know you are quarreling with your wife. Can you see the weakness of a mentor? You need friends. I repeat the words, who have right of interference. You are able to be open and naked before them. That way they are able to help you where no other type of friend would help you. People you are free with. When we celebrated 45 years, we just called only the people that were on uniform. My wife called it, let's invite people who are in uniform on our wedding day. That means you have to be a maid or what are they called? They are called bridesmaid. The men are called what? Groomsmen. They are dead, so they did not come. So, but we also called our children, they were there. So the other day, my daughter was telling my wife, hey, we never imagined that Papa has people who can just make fun of him. Now, you see, my age mates are not bothered about Nganga the speaker, Nganga whatever. We were together in campus. So and we are talking like that. Of course, the children were seated far. We are together and talking. But they were overhearing. And these people don't have a respect or a fear for Nganga. They are telling me off and making fun of me in the process. Do you have people like that? Who feel the freedom to meet you as you really are? Because that's what will help you, first of all, to relax. And it's very easy. We have a fellowship we call the flame from the 70s. You are not allowed to come to our fellowship unless you are in the university between 1970 and 79. If you are later, you are not welcome. Now, when we meet, we are all age mates. We are old people in our 70s. Some have hit 80s, but most of us are in our 70s. And when we meet to talk, the other day we were in a meeting, and Bishop Adoyo was there. And then he laughed, and he told me, John, I have not laughed like this. I said, how can you laugh? You're a bishop. You need to understand. When you're a bishop, you can't laugh. But now here, nobody is calling him Bishop Adoyo. He's just Bonnie, the same way we called him in campus. We're in the same executive in 1974. So he's Bonnie. Now, he is able to relax. You need these colleague type of people where you become yourself. Who is watching? No, you don't care. You are ready to be yourself before them. After kwani wakinjua ni nini, so you allow them to know your weaknesses and your needs. Am I communicating? Those are relationships that are missing. No wonder many men are suffering from stress because they have no group of friends they can call colleague friends. People who are like that. Anyway, this guy who is correcting you in this, you are also going to correct him in this. You correct each other. Because you have similar weaknesses, you are about the same level. That's why you are willing to accept him, because even tomorrow you'll be the one correcting him. Am I communicating? With your mentor, you hardly find something to correct. So you are always intimidated. But with your colleague, friend, today you are correcting them. Today he is coming to you for help. Tomorrow you are going to him for help. That's a very important relationship if you are going to enjoy your life. First of all, to reduce stress. Number two, to relax you. And number three, to help you to develop to a better level. And I think it's important. That is a friend you must have. At least one in that category. Category number two is what we call a junior friend. Seen as maybe he's not even a Christian yet, but he's your friend. Or maybe the problem is that he is poorer. He is not financial level with you. Or maybe his age, he is younger than you. Or maybe he's not even from your career, which you think is great. Or he went to the bar at a later, he was called to the bar at a later year than yours. So you are the senior. So he calls himself junior. In an effort to be a model to him, so basically as a junior friend, your interest is to model for him. You are still friends, but you're always conscious that you don't behave in a certain way and mislead him. After all, the Bible says if you mislead him, it's better for a stone to be tied to you. So you're very careful about that one. So become very careful whenever you are with your mentees. They are still friends, but you are very, very careful, because you are trying to model for him to improve himself. Always conscious of need to leave your talk and means of leading others to Christ, for example, be they non-Christians, or discipling others. You know, you get fulfilling when you see him becoming fruitful, and you can easily pull you. However, if you are not careful, this person, if you are unable to help him, he could also pull you down. And you can also be accused of giving him wrong influence. So what I'm saying is, every one of us needs a mentee. These are friends that are not where you are. Why? That's what we call ministry. God has set you where you are so that you can be of benefit to people who are not yet where you are. So every Christian must look for an opportunity for a non-Christian whom we are trying to win to the Lord, a younger Christian whom we are trying to disciple. You need them. And they are very useful. And I'm saying 3 benefits. For you, not them, you. Number 1, because you are conscious of them, you will start behaving better than you could have behaved. Because, for example, you tell somebody, no, it's bad to quarrel your wife. And you explain why it's bad to quarrel your wife. In the evening, your wife provokes you. When you are just about to quarrel her, you remember what you told your mentee. And you start behaving. Mentoring people junior than you makes you behave. Alternatively, we ask you a question. You have even forgotten how you dealt with it. You go back to study. to remind yourself of the basics because of the question of the junior. Having people junior to you helps you to remain with a high standard for their sake. Are you getting your benefit? Number two, when you spend your time with the people who are junior, it is going to make your old age very enjoyable. You sit listening to younger people. You have just had my friend talking about that 5 years ago. He's not a young man at all. But I'm glad to hear there was a benefit that 5 years ago. If you want to enjoy your old age, invest in younger people. And as you help them and see them come to fruition, they may not give you anything. They don't. They may never. They may even not want to admit you helped them. But you know you have helped them. It makes your life very enjoyable. It is really a very high return investing in friends who are younger. Number one, because it may forces you to behave at a higher standard. Number two, because it gives you things to be grateful as you see them grow to fruition and become better. Some of them progress well beyond you. But because you have no jealousy, you are happy to be associated with them. One of my friends came to me wanting to begin a business. And he actually came and slept in my house for me to help him. I helped him. Now he is a billionaire. And I'm very happy that there was an opportunity like that. In fact, he bought some offices in Nairobi, and he called me to go and open the new office structure, and reminded his employees these things started because of the time we talked with Brother Nganga. With no return. When you meet your mentee, you spend 2 hours, you gain nothing. He gains everything and you gain. Once in a while you might gain something. But the reason for relationship is not to gain, but to give. And it's more blessed to give than to receive. So you need to have friends like that. And by the grace of God, that's not my area of weakness. I'm full of friends. There are people I used to work with in the 70s. Every time I go to preach, I normally go with people. There are people I had in the 80s. I had people I had in the 90s. There had people we have had in the first millennium. They are my friends of the second millennium. Now, I've already started now moving out with guys who are 20 years, who are from who are my friends in the third millennium. It's important to invest in people. It's for your own good when you invest. And the other benefits we talked about when you deal with people, how it helps you, are still true. So you need to have at least one friend who is in that category. Thirdly, you need a friend who is a mentor, call him superior, somebody who is a mentor. When you meet with him, you are conscious, you have added no value to him, you are the receiver. And there are people like that. You go to visit them, their marriage is parenting at such a high level, you keep looking at each other with your wife. When you go, you say, hi, shall we ever reach that level? But you see, the fact that you have seen it is doable will put an interest in you to start operating at a higher level. Would you agree with me? So unfortunately, pride is our undoing. Many people cannot deal with people better than themselves. Why? It makes them feel small, don't want. So there are many people seated here who might have no friend who is better than them, older than them, richer than them. They like operating with people at their level or below, so that they can anajigamba. I don't know what that means in Swahili, but it's trying to show he is dume, he's powerful. But my friend, if you lack people who are better than you condemn yourself to mediocrity. You'll never, because everywhere you are, people are saying, great, Nganga, wow, what a wonderful guy. Nobody tells you the truth, that you are good, but not good enough. It is these older people better than you. When you relate with them, they don't have to tell you anything, but you can see, I need to pull up my socks. You know, they are older, they are richer, they are better, they are more spiritual, they entered into the profession earlier than you. So, as you relate with them, you relate with them from a level of respect. Because of that respect, you are in a learning mood. You are able to learn from them. And it's very, very important that you understand. Because of that respect, you are able to get influenced by them. Because you want to be like them, you desire to be like them, so you are like a sponge. As you relate with them, you are imbibing. And since they are better than you, it helps you to improve towards their level. Obviously, I want to give a warning. They could very easily mislead you. When you do not understand that nobody should have one mentor, you must always have more than one mentor. Why? No human being is better in everything. You know, for example, I have many mentees. But when it's coming to make money, I always tell him I'm the wrong guy. I spend my time so much in preaching rather than in doing business. You might not go very far. That's why my mentees become better in business than I can ever reach. Because that's not my calling. That's not my area of need. So if you want to be a rich businessman, I'll give you experts and people you can go to. So it's not in your interest to have just one mentee. You know, some people can mentor you professionally, and they are good at it. But when it comes to their marriage, it's just about to break up. But if because you respect them, you think if Nganga's marriage can break, then it's normal. I'll break mine also. Now, you need to understand that having a mentor who has a problem, because of his great influence, can also make you have the same problem. Would you agree with me? If I keep telling young people, tell me who your celeb is, and I tell you what you will become. Many of celebs are wonderful musicians, hopeless, immoral guys. Am I right? If you have that guy as your celeb, you will soon be immoral. Because somehow, when you have a mentor, somebody you respect, you tend to excuse him. Am I right? Oh, for him to do that, the wife must be a bad woman. Now, you do not want your celeb blamed, so you defend him. That defense, you see, it's understandable. What is understandable is soon your participation. It is when you are able to say something that is wrong, I don't want to do it, you can mentor me in this, but I have no interest in this. That's what will help you. And it's important in your relationship to understand that you need these mentors, but be careful, they must mentor you in the area they are good, and you must avoid the areas they are not good at. Are we together? And that's all of us. We have certain areas of strength and certain areas of weakness, which we must, of necessity, look at. I have to finish. So, as I finish, let me answer the question. How can you grow your relationships? Number one, respecting other people's dignity. I've talked about it. Number two, show respect and value for even the junior most. Number three, if you take my book on friendship, please use these three royal words. I'm sorry, please, and thank you. Learn to not just say the words, but to mean it. When you do wrong to anybody, including your own children, do not defend yourself. Admit you have hurt them. Admit you did wrong. When people learn you are willing to admit, it grows your relationship. Number two, learn not to force yourself on others. Use the word please rather than manipulation. Please is a very dangerous word. Because if I say, please, Mushiri, Bernard, please, do something for me. I'm telling you, don't do it unless it's good to you. But then some of you will stop saying please. Are we understanding the definition of please? If you tell me, please, Mr. Nganga, calm down, it means it's okay even if you don't calm down. But if you're happy to calm down, please, because please means if it pleases you, if you're happy with it, that means you are relating with the people without forcing yourself on them. There's no time they must do anything. Whenever you say, please, my wife, give me tea, it means you'll be okay even if you are not given any tea. So when you relate with the people with that, they value you, you grow your relationship. And finally, learn to say thank you. Thank you means you do not take people for granted. You want them to know that even if they had refused, you'll still be your friend. You are happy with what they did. Thank you very much. My notes contained many more things. I wanted to spend a bit of time talking about sexuality, and I think I can only say that sex is not oxygen, so men must learn to zip up, irrespective of whether the curtain coming has a dress that is too high from above, and too high from below. Too low from above, and you know what I'm trying to describe. You must learn to zip up. That's what a Christian man does. He does not become sexual. It means even if your wife is not available sexually, after all, Catholic priests never marry. Now, it's important to understand there is nothing your wife can do to justify your sexual immorality. Am I clear? Because sex is not oxygen. We know oxygen, you'll die. No, you'll not die. So do not get involved in morality because your wife is difficult in bed. Some of you become sexually immoral as a way of revenging. But the word of God says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. So even if she is immoral herself, you cannot be immoral in return. I wish we have not run out of time to deal with it. I also wanted to emphasize that you must learn with your children to relate well with them. And according to Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4, fathers, do not exasperate your children. It means even your own children, the way you relate with them must not include becoming a terrorist to your own family. Anyway, we better finish. But if you have a question, I'll ask Pastor Roth to just share the mic with whoever has it. It's question time. And it can be a point of clarification, or it can be a point that disagree with me. That's okay, but show me from where the verse that says something different. Or it can be something you have heard and it has blessed you, so you are returning, you are just commenting, and maybe the way you put it, people understand it better. So it can be a comment. Yes.
Thank you, John, for sharing with us those nuggets of wisdom. Personally, I just wanted to ask, as a relatively young married, maybe what would you say is the biggest, one of the things you've learned in every phase of your marriage life that you can advise somebody who's been maybe 15 years in marriage, and what has kept the spark going for you, and how you've been able to preserve yourself even as professionally and also as a minister, in terms of your integrity and and then maintaining your marriage as well.
3 things. Number 1, no relationship lasts without forgiveness. In fact, the day I discovered it is in the Lord's Prayer. It's put in the Lord's Prayer to force you. And the person who requires forgiveness more is your spouse. Forgive us our trespasses as you forgive those who trespass. And I was told by a lawyer, what that means is, you are asking the Lord, don't forgive me, God, until and unless I forgive my wife. There's no way you can have a good marriage if you choose not to forgive. Because there will be always, my wife likes putting it this way, the fruit of the Spirit cannot be tested by anybody else other than a spouse. Because some people will test your joy, but they will not test your long-suffering. Some test your long-suffering, they will not test your love. But the husband tests you, according to my wife, tests you in all the 9 part of the fruit of the Spirit. That's why forgiveness is important. And when you hear people enjoying their marriage, it's because they are not carrying yesterday's baggage. The wife insulted you before, your mother, you are so unhappy, then you realize, she is still my wife. You forgive her. And you act today like she never insulted you. But that's called forgiveness. Number 2, which has helped me, which is very important, is learning to live with eternity in view. In other words, I don't want small things interfering with my going to heaven. And I realized if I don't behave right with my wife, I could lose heaven. The Bible puts it in very strong language. Work well with the lady, because if you don't, your prayers will be hindered. In other words, your relationship with your wife becomes like a ceiling. Prayers never penetrate towards heaven. And it is your relationship that's blocking them. So my need for eternity means I can relate well with my wife, even when she has hurt me, and she's continuing to hurt me, and she has no intention of stopping to hurt me. Since I want to go to heaven, I can still relate well with her. Am I communicating? My motivation is heaven. And it's very, very important that we understand that here, even if she hurts you, it's a temporary thing. We marry 40, 50, 60 years maximum, you are gone. So how can you lose eternity for the sake of 60 years? And many of us may not even live to 60 years of marriage. Am I right? So it's important, and it helps me. Having eternity in my mind, in my relationship, and in my view. Thirdly, and importantly, which is very important, is learning in my relationship with others that the judge is God. Sometimes I'm misunderstood, but I know God knows the truth. And I referred to it earlier when I was talking about criticizing people without information. And I have learned that once God is my judge, it means people can misunderstand me. The spouse can misunderstand me. My children can misunderstand me. And I forgive them. Jesus on the cross said, forgive them. They don't know what they are doing. And then the other day, I was reminded in the book of Acts that Stephen said the same. And that allows me to relate well with people. Because sometimes you look at them, they don't even know what they are doing. So I'm able to forgive them, and I'm able to relate well with them. Those are three things that have helped me. I could go on, but three suffice for now. Was there another person who put up the hand? If none, that's okay. But if you want us to have a personal question, just ask Roth for my telephone, and we can discuss one-on-one on telephone. If the kind of question you want is personal. Anybody else? One last person? I had told Roth that I will not stay on after now, because this afternoon I'm leaving for, tomorrow I'm speaking in medical school, in medical school in Eldoret, and I need to leave today for Eldoret. So if you see me running away, I'm not running away in protest. So thank you very much. God bless you. But you can call me, and we can go on with the subject.